After you've gathered these 3 essential pieces of information, now you can start building a true itinerary. Hi, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Valerie, and several months ago, I quit my full-time career to start traveling solo around the world. So welcome back to Travel for One, Solo Travel Over 50. Imagine building your dream itinerary to travel on an extended trip, and then you find out you can't stay or go as long as you had expected. There are several important pieces of information that you need for each of the countries you plan on visiting. One of the most important pieces of information is that country a Schengen or non-Schengen zoned country? That is important because you can only stay in the Schengen countries for 90 days out of a 180-day time period. Countries are added to this list, so it's important for you to always check on your list often. Here's the website that I use to track that information and to also track the time that I have been within or out of that zone. At the top of each of my country's pages, I put this specific information there so that when I was setting up my itinerary, I could quickly and easily see the rules and regulations specific for that country. The next piece of information that's super important to follow is visa rules and regulations. Because each country has their own rules and regulations, it's important to know how long you can stay in a country at one time. Ireland is a good example. Ireland has a 3-month tourist visa that you can apply to. Most nationalities can qualify for the 3-month visa. However, it doesn't apply to everyone. One of the best websites that you can go to track visa rules and regulations for each country is your country's government website. I use this website anytime I need to get the information on a country's visa rules and regulations. It's the most updated information that you can get. A lot of retirees plan on slow traveling, which means they plan on staying in a specific area or country for an extended period of time. One of the biggest surprises to me was the UAE. Think Dubai. When I was researching their travel visas, I quickly found out that they have a 5-year travel visa that you can apply for. You do have to show proof you have a certain amount of money in the bank and a couple of other small rules and regulations. However, it doesn't mean you can stay in the country continuously for 5 years. It means you can go in and out of that country without applying over for a visa. It does mean that you can stay for 90 days at a time. Thailand is another really good example. They have several different visas that you can apply for. Most typical tourists will apply for the 60-day tourist visa, which can easily be done online. However, there are also 6-month tourist visas that you can apply for, and retiree visas you can also apply for. But there's very specific rules and regulations that apply to each of these visas. Take, for instance, the 6-month Thai visa. It doesn't mean you can stay in the country for 6 months. It means that you can enter the country multiple times, but stay for 60 days at a time. Which visa you need to apply for is really determined by how long you intend to stay in that country. Are you going to be a slow traveler where you stay a month or 2 months at a time? Or are you going to go from one country to another and do more fast travel? Visas are all determined by your specific travel needs. Another consideration is customs for each country. Are there specific rules and regulations that you need to know and follow when you're entering and exiting a specific country? Think Malaysia. When going through customs in Malaysia, did you know that as a U.S. citizen, you can go through the e-gates and not stand in the customs line? However, if you use the e-gates entering the country, you also have to use the e-gates when you exit the country. If you go through the customs line entering the country, you also have to stand in line when you leave the country. Those are small pieces of information that apply to the whole country. So that information goes at the top of my country's page. Is there important health information that you need to know about that country? Are there certain diseases that you might need to be aware of? Or travel shots that you might want to research? Think shots like Hep A and Hep B, or typhoid, or even rabies shots. You don't need those type of shots for every country, but there are certain areas in specific countries that you might want to consider having those shots for. The next thing you want to look at for each of the countries, times of year that you plan on traveling. Are you planning on going during high season, where there are a lot of other tourists also traveling at that time? Shoulder season? Maybe even rainy season, or off season when the costs are lower? What type of weather will you have during that time period? Each country can even be broken up into north and south, and the north might be far warmer than the south is during that same time period. All of those little pieces of information are really important to know beforehand, but it would be impossible to try to remember all of it by memory. And that is why it is so important to have something digital that you can search. Once you get the information you need specific for a country as a whole, I typically put my list of cities I intended to visit at the top portion of each of my country's pages. The great thing about having a digital notebook with all of your travel information that you've gathered is as you adjust and change your plans, your notes do not have to be in any specific order. I normally will take a country and then take each of the cities I plan on seeing and break those down individually on the country's note page. As I gather specific notes for that city, now I can specifically put that information on that digital note page. It doesn't have to be in alphabetical order, and it doesn't have to be in any specific order, because the digital notebook is easily searchable. All of this sounds complicated, I know, but it's really not. If you document notes as you come across the information, or as you watch travel videos or read blogs, and make those notes specific in that country, it is going to save you a whole lot of effort and a whole lot of time when you're building your itinerary. Now that your digital notebook is set up correctly, you've gathered basic information. The next step is to start building a travel budget. Coming up, how I determined a budget for full-time travel as a solo traveler.